Welcome back to Healing Motherhood. In this episode, we are continuing to explore the 4 themes of birth trauma. Today's theme is to communicate with me. Is that too much to ask? In this episode, we are diving deeply into that second theme and kind of reflecting on how effective communication, or the lack thereof, during childbirth can profoundly impact the well-being of the mother and therefore the entire family. So when we talk about the essence of this theme, right? To communicate with me. This is something that I think a lot of providers overlook. And as a professional, I am a special education teacher. And in the world of special education and in the world of teaching, there are all of these little acronyms, there are all of these things that I know about education and children and legal documents and just the way that a school runs that other people don't know, right? So it's easy for me to talk to a teacher about an IEP, an FBA, an ESP, IDEA, all of these different things that I can share in a meeting that a parent is going to look at me and be like, is she speaking another language? And I think that doctors doing what they do day in and day out, they know so many things that they don't really understand what we know and what we don't know, right? Especially when they're working with somebody who, appears to have a really good understanding of birth and appears to have a really good understanding of research, right? But regardless, when there is any kind of assumption made about what somebody knows, there then is a lack of informed consent. There is a lack of informed decision making because this provider who is so used to this and believes that they truly know what's best for you and your birth and your baby, they're going to, and not even necessarily intentionally, word it in a way that immediately skews the information in which you're presented, right? And so that's just one way in which communication is impacted. But another way that communication comes up, right, is when we talk about a miscommunication, right? So there's this lack of information, there's miscommunication. And a miscommunication can be anything from a comment that the doctor makes to a nurse. And a mom in the throes of labor, she is in labor land, she is in a whole nother world getting ready to meet her baby and bring her baby into this earth, right? And so when in this state, it is so easy to take this little thing that the doctor said and make it mean something really scary, right? And so I think it's important for doctors and nurses, especially when they are talking even to each other, to remember that that parent is right there. That family is bringing a new life into the world, right? And so when you are having conversations, to make sure that you're really clearly communicating everything. You're not side glancing at each other. Ask me how I know. Someday I will share with you both of my birth stories, and but the side glance is just one little part of my birth story, right? The other thing about this is the way you are asking for support from other providers, right? Making sure that you're remembering that this is the biggest day in somebody's life. And so providers need to be, communicating in a way that reflects that. They need to be communicating so clearly that there is no way for you to misinterpret what is said. Because that miscommunication can make a woman think that her life is in danger, that her baby's life is in danger, whether they are or are not. We already, if you've been through natural labor without pain medication, that time of transition is already time where our world is ending as we know it, right? And many women you will hear say, I can't do this. I can't do this, right? It is the moment when they want to give up. It is the moment where they would do anything but continue with this birth. But there's no choice, right? It is this giant trial within the journey of birth giving. And so they're already close to that mindset. And then the lack of information or the miscommunication can create this story that then creates trauma in the brain. So I think one thing that people can do if you are birthing again, or if you are struggling with this part, I think it's important to process your birth experience with a professional or even with yourself, truthfully. And there is a wait list for a new resource coming out for you to process your birth story. So go ahead and hit that wait list so that you are the first to hear about that. And I think it's important, if you are birthing again and preparing to advocate for yourself and collaborate with a provider, I think it's important to just remember the power of questions and to remember that you actually are the boss in the room. And so you can say, oh, is this necessary? Can this wait 5 minutes? What happens if we don't do this, right? And there are lots of tools. Maybe one day we'll get to talking about birthing again. If that's you, you can reach out personally for support and I'll give you some tools. Thank you so much for being here today as we talked a little bit about the importance of clear, respectful communication during birth. Remember to jump on the waitlist below so that you're the first to know. Hit the subscribe button and maybe drop a comment if you really resonated with this theme. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.